Okay, welcome forward, ISV International, U.S. Virgin Islands Chess Federation, and all players, coaches, staffs, and admin. Guys, welcome back to the Stockfish Level 8 playlist. Your host, Colin Heim, operator of U.S. Virgin Islands Chess International, guys, at ISV. And, guys, let's get right into this next game. This will be round 7. First round of 2023 against Stockfish Level 8, again, challenging. And yet another solution to a drawing line against Stockfish Level 8. And guys, in this playlist, if this is your first time checking out these videos in the Stockfish Level 8 playlist with your host, guys, my personal games against Lee Chess Stockfish Level 8. At home, you guys can play Stockfish Level 8 as well, and sort of get a taste for the strength of Stockfish. Stockfish is one of the strongest, and a little bit about Stockfish if you guys are new to this, and this is your first time selecting a video from this playlist, as this is the latest video from the playlist, guys. Congratulations if you guys made it here. If you love games against computer chess and you want to find how to draw against a maxed out level engine, this engine, guys, is about 3,000 to 3,200. It's about as strong as you can possibly get. It defends perfectly. Stockfish is designed to defend perfect and almost attack perfectly as well. Anytime we try to go for a line that Stockfish sees as abnormal, it will do everything in its power to make sure that it crushes you. Okay, so what we have to do, guys, is the human opponent with white against Stockfish black. Guys, I don't play Stockfish white with black pieces. It's just nearly impossible, and I've tried it before. As a matter of fact, there's one opening that I cannot seem to get against Stockfish Level 8, and it's this Sicilian defense, okay? So I basically have, well, no solution to this. If we even go into the Nesmedinov-Rosalimo attack line, I still can't do anything about it against Stockfish Level 8. So every time C5 comes, I basically just quit because it just takes too long and I can't solve it at the end of the day. So when E4, E5 comes, I say, okay, well, maybe I have a chance. And that's exactly what it went for in this game, guys. So let's get right into it now with Knight F3 and D6 and Bishop to C4. Okay, so we have the Philidor defense over the board. 98% of the time, guys, which is, I am always playing Bishop to C4 when it comes to D6, okay? That even goes for my Lee Chess games, too. Okay, so Knight to F6 now, guys. We have a couple choices. We can either push D3, or we can go Knight C3. We can even castle and just give up the pawn one time, but instead Knight to C3 in this game. Okay, I went for now Bishop to G4. Stockfish goes for the, I guess, the best line. And when I look in the database here, we look for, okay, no games found, there are games found. Okay, so there were 162,000 games in the Lee Chess database server where H3 was played. I ended up playing H3, the most played move. Bishop to E6. And guys, in this position, if you have white pieces and you're playing a chess game, doesn't necessarily have to be against Stockfish at the maxed out engine, right? But what do we do in this position when we're with white? Okay, so black's encouraging us to capture here, right? And if captures, and what that does is now for black is it does create an advantage because it creates a semi-open E file, okay? So now if white castles, black can play bishop to d7, and okay, if you do go for d4, takes. This isn't like a really good line for white. Yeah, I don't even have to castle yet. Now we can castle, right? If I go here, right, if I play knight d5, and you know this gets played, you're just losing a minor piece, right? Okay, check first. Put up the rook. Captures, and this isn't like too crazy good of a line for anyone. I just kick the queen back, right? Maybe go back here, and life can go on. I don't think this is a great position at all for really anyone. Okay, so let's go back to what was played in the game, guys. Okay. So that's why we're not expected to capture there on e6, guys. Okay, instead the best move to play in the position, I think the best move is just bishop to b3. Now if black decides to capture on the b3 square, I capture with the a pawn, and now we have an open a file. Okay, makes sense, guys? Okay. All right, so bishop to b3, and now comes c5 played by Stockfish, guys. So it's in this position against c5 that I kind of thought to myself, wow, okay, black is, Stockfish black is going for the center.
obviously. He wants to claim the center. But I can't allow him to have too much emphasis. So one thing, guys, a theme we want to bring up in this Stockfish conversation, right, at level 8, with the white pieces, guys, we want to keep black from activating his pieces, right? Some things that we talked about in the previous videos, guys, what were some other openings that we went over drawing solutions with, right, in real time against Stockfish level 8? We went over the Benema defense, the Scotch game. We've done the French defense, right? We've gone over the Philidor defense again as well. We've even gone to the Russian game, right? We've gone to the Mason attack, right, of the Petrov's line, the formerly known as the Petrov's line. Now it's known as the Russian game. So all those openings, and we have found drawing solutions against Stockfish level 8. Guys, your host, your operator, Colin Heim with ISV International, right? U.S. Virgin Islands Chess Federation. Guys, let's continue with the game after c5 now. Okay, so d3 was played by myself. I didn't really consider castling at this point. I think it's kind of too early to castle. I don't think that creates too much of a slight edge for me. So d3 is fine, just now solidifying the center, obviously with the knight now, right? And I don't know what's coming next. I don't know what Stockfish has prepared in this line. So now knight to c6. Okay, not knight from b to d7, right? Knight to c6, played by Stockfish 8, and bishop to g5. Okay, bishop to g5 is standard. Standard modus operandi for this type of opening, guys, in this Philidor line, right? Very, very basic. Not a shot, just a logical, overplayed line that's probably been played countless times. Okay, so stepping into mainline theory again in this Philidor defense, and we're at move 8. Let's continue the game, guys. We're about 7 minutes in or so. Bishop to e7 now, and we're putting coverage and more emphasis to the f6 square. That's what Stockfish here is doing. So guys, in this line, I decided to give up the dark squared bishop. And can you guys find out why I decided to give up the dark squared bishop in this line? Why am I capturing? And why am I not going for a move, let's just say, like castles in this position? Well, guys, if I figured castles, I figured Stockfish would castle too, right? And this isn't really helping. If queen to d2, right? Let's just play some random moves, okay? Well, then I feel like knight to a5 and maybe rook to c1, right? Now, if takes, and b5, I'm really not liking my position here against Stockfish, right? Queen a5 is going to come, queen b6 is going to come. So what I'm saying is now if takes, and rook from f to d1, and queen to b6, I'm really not liking my chances here at all, okay? I think Stockfish just has me completely dominated with the bishop pair, and I don't like that, okay? So giving up a dark squared bishop to avoid, I know this sounds kind of strange, guys, but I'm actually giving up the dark squared bishop, and I'm going to gain the dark squared bishop back here in just a moment. But this is to avoid Stockfish black at the maxed out level from having the bishop pair in the middle game, right? Transitioning from the opening to the middle game. So let's continue. Bishop f6, and this is exactly what I was talking about, guys. Knight d5. Okay, knight d5 one time. Instantly, I had overlooked this line previously in other Philidor games I've played on Lichess, Rapid, Time Control, even a couple classical games I had like this. I had like 1 or 2 classical games that were like this. We check the database, we scroll down here, right? There were a few games, well, 3 games, Lichess, those are Lichess ratings on the left, guys. So players at about 1900 to 2000 have played this line. This line has been played. Lichess database identifies it. Okay, there's the drawing information, February 16th, 2023 at 5:09 p.m. It was more like 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. It was very late. I spent a long time with this game, guys. And I'll show you guys where I started making takebacks too in this game, okay? All right, good job, ISV International. Let's continue. Knight d5 and rook to b8. Well, Stockfish does plan on expanding here on the queen side, okay? And let's get it. We'll show that line here in just a moment after we get done with knight to f6, right? So we're over with knight to f6. That means check to the black king. And what does Stockfish play in this line, guys? Right? Well, if you had black pieces, guys, in this line, let's just flip the board here. What would you play if you guys had black pieces? Well, it shouldn't require too much thought, guys. Queen to f6, right? Not gf6, right? That kind of sloppies up the king side, if you will, for black. Okay, so queen f6 is the move. And after queen to f6, guys, now we capture on e6. Okay, so about 7 to 8 moves were played. If we remember and we go back in time, right, to the bishop line, right? Bishop to e6, okay? Bishop to e6, and this is the time to capture on e6 now. Okay, guys, this is the time, okay? And if you guys have black pieces in this position, what do you guys play again? Do we double our pawns on the e-file, or do we just capture with the queen? Well, guys, we're actually going right into a middle game here. This transition from the middle game to the end game, we're going right to the end game. Excuse me, guys. When we go right to the end game, guys, we are saying that the middle game is basically finished. If we check the situation and we check the pieces now in this position, guys, okay? Guys and girls, right? Okay, 8 pawns still on the board. There have been no pawn captures. Neither side has castled. Okay, white has not castled, black has not castled. Black is signaling to white, well, I'm going to expand on the queen side with rook to b8, right, which was played previously, right, which is sort of like a Kramnik line. I think this was played in a FIDE Grand Prix game, if I'm not mistaken. Rook to b8 is a novelty, and I think there was a, I know the reason why Stockfish played this, like I said, guys, to expand on the queen side, but let's go a little further, right, after. This is very important, guys. After bishop b6, and Stockfish is going to double his pawns and strengthen his center. Okay, this is actually going to be a stronger center for black now. Stockfish has this calculated maybe 15, 20 moves into the future, right? And he knows this is going to work, okay? But after the recapture on e6 with the f-pawn comes short castles, right? So just to replay the line, guys, captures, right? fe7, f7, e6, short castles, and b5. Okay, so here begins the queenside expansion. Okay, guys, so let's go over some lines now in this transition from the middle to the end game. It's going to go to the end game super quick, like I just mentioned a couple moments ago. Let's continue. c3, and now Stockfish castles rook castle king side. Okay, so c3, short castles by Stockfish. And guys, if you have the white pieces in this position, what do you guys play? I had to come up with something. Well, it looks very threatening here on f3. There could be some sacrifices, right? Maybe black wants to give up the exchange. Maybe black, even in the future, let's just say I play a random move like rook to c1. What if Stockfish goes for rook to b7 and tries to swing over and triple up, go for the alkaline machine gun on the f-file, right? So again, one line like this, right? Queen h6, right? And maybe white is in some trouble. Okay, so c3, guys, short castles again, and a3, okay? a3, and this is just doing everything possible to keep this queenside expansion. And as we mentioned, black does have a stronger center, right? This sort of L-shaped pawn structure here, right, on the D file and double pawns on the E file is still stronger, okay, with the queenside expansion. Now, Stockfish didn't really play with too much strategy in this game, and he wanted to go straight to 8 pawns, 2 minor pieces taken off the board, right, and now a5. So it's very clear that rook from a to b8, and after an exchange of minor pieces, right, bishop e6, fe6, right, and Stockfish is just making it very obvious what his plan is, okay? Queenside expansion and pawns. Okay, so he's telling the human, well, you didn't exchange any pawns, you're allowing me all these pawns in the center. Look at how backed up your pawns are on the queen side, right? And look at how flush my pawns are on the queen side. So let's continue, guys. Queen to d8, and now I want to get the queens off the board. At this moment, move 16. Imagine it's only 16 moves in, and we're basically going right into an endgame with 2 rooks for each side and a minor piece. So queen to d2 has to be played. Stockfish played the move queen to g6. queen to g6 is sort of a nothing move, I guess. I don't know if it's a nothing move, but the Stockfish level 8 engine, guys, the maxed out engine, is very particular with where he decides to put his queen. Okay, very, very particular. Okay, it puts its queen on squares that are most effective in lines that it knows how to crush. Okay, basically. Okay. So guys, what do you guys think I played in this position after queen to g6? What's the move for white here? We said we want to get queens off the board, right? Well, guys, queen to g5. Okay. And Stockfish obliged and offered, took the exchange. Okay. Now, guys, what's wrong with a move like, let's say Stockfish wanted to go back to f7, right? Denying the exchange, right? Well, guys, I can start pushing h4, right? And now there's no more tripling up on the f file like we talked about by getting the rook here, tripling up like we saw in the previous line. So now if something like, knight to e7, or if knight to e7 is played, right? Well, play king h2. And if you try to kick away my queen, I'm going to go back. Not all the way back, but back here, right? And if you push again, I go back. And now if you start expanding more on the queen side or whatever you decide to do, I'm going to get my rook on the d1 square. And finally, if a move like g7, g6, there's this. And if the queen goes back to e8, I would, we can't go there because then just knight takes, and I think white is just much better. Okay. So Stockfish looked over all these denial of exchange lines, denial of exchange of queens lines, if you will. He went over all these and decided that it was best to just go for the exchange. Okay. And this actually helps white a lot. So queen to d2, queen g6, and queen g5 was actually very helpful. And I think it kind of made Stockfish look a little dumb because, again, his whole emphasis is just this queenside expansion with a stronger pawn center. Then I'm saying, well, okay, well, if we exchange the queens, I think I still might have at least drawing chances here, and I wanted to prove that to the engine, right? That's the whole point. It's the whole point of why we do these lectures, guys, and these instructionals, right? Virtual online instructionals. Let's go, guys. Let's continue, if you can. Knight to g5, and guys, we have to... can't give up the e6 pawn. So Stockfish just decided to defend with the f8 rook and keep the b8 rook on this b file. Okay. Okay, so that's the end game. We'll get to that very shortly. So move 18, guys. Knight captures on g5 and rook to e8, and here comes h4. Guys, why did I play h4 in this position? Well, I can't do anything about these queenside expanded pawns yet, okay? There's nothing to be done about that yet, okay? h4 is allowing me to get back to the h3 square when I need to retreat my knight when h7, h6 comes, trying to kick the knight away, okay? So now here comes rook to b7, and it's very clear that Stockfish is still very much banking, if you will, on a kingside attack. But this can be easily thwarted at this point, guys. Like I said, knight to h3, just making room for the knight, building a better course for the knight so that if the rooks ever get on the f-file, which is what's coming, it's very obvious, guys, if you're intermediate or advanced in chess, you can understand the theme of this middle game, transitioning into the end game, okay? That the f-file is going to be where the fight is, so to speak, okay? Okay, so g6 was played, and I played g3. Okay, Stockfish played h6. I played f4. Okay, so now he's strengthening his pawns on the king side. It's a queenless minor piece and 2 rooks and 8 pawns endgame. Sort of like a go fish game at this point, if you will, with all these pawns, right, scattered in the middle of the board. 8 versus 8. Okay, so Stockfish went for rook to f7. I went for rook to f2. Stockfish played the move a5, now closing the queenside expansion, right? Saying, well, your pawns are still at the 2nd and 3rd rank, and mine are at the 4th and the 5th, which means that I'm ahead of you. That's what the engine's
trying to tell me, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so now doubling up on the F file, I get to swing the A rook to F1, and that means that Stockfish is going to also double up on the F file. So no surprises, guys. The fight is over the F file here. And let's show how to get right to the end game. So guys, if you have white pieces in this position, don't peek at the notation. Find the best move for white in the position after I give you guys a couple of seconds. Pause this, or maybe even set this over the board at home over your personal chess board, right? Your chess table. Have some coffee or some tea, have some food or something, and check this out, right? This is very interesting, right? If you love chess, right? Well, guys, the best move is just F captures on E5, okay? And after F captures on E5, knight captures on E5, rook F7, rook F7, rook F7, king F7, okay? And we are, finally, we've reached the end game at move 27. Okay, so 27 moves played, and Stockfish is, got his panties all up in a wad here and says, well, I don't want to play a long, methodical game. You're not allowing me to activate my pieces with the black pieces, so I'm going to expand on the queen side. I mean, this is how he feels, right, in this position as, well, okay, guys, of course the engine is not personal. It's impersonal, but nonetheless, although the engines and the bots don't have feelings, I'm sure that, trying everything that he could in all the repertoire and the millions of games that it knows, just going for a queenside expansion and trading off the minor pieces. That's because as white, guys, I was not allowing for the 5th time for black to activate his pieces. Let's continue, guys. Okay, guys, we're almost through. A couple more minutes here. Knight to F2 and D5, right? So now striking in the center, right? We see there's still 8 pawns total, right, for each team. Oh, 7. Okay, so one set of pawns for each team has been traded, but there's still 7 pawns, so there's still some game to be played here. Okay, king to F1. We have to go to F1. And guys, just going back here for a moment, why do we play knight to F2? Well, guys, this isn't possible. It takes, and we're just losing here on the spot, right? Okay. So the only way to play out this endgame is to play knight to F2 and defend D3 pawn, and as a response D5, king F1. Wow, I keep hitting the wrong button there, guys. Sorry, that's super annoying. Let me go back here for a moment. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so I really apologize, guys. I'm trying to get this all together for everyone. Okay, so king to F1, and black is going to strike in the center with D4. C takes on D4. C takes on D4. King to E2. King to E7. Knight to H3, which is the only continuation, guys. I started making a lot of takebacks here at around move 30, and knight to H3 was the only thing that I could come up with. Knight to H3 is the only thing that keeps the defense of the king side, because black's king side is much, much stronger at this point. And black has actually much less influence after the captures. After CD4, black has given up his strength in the center of the board. Okay. So again, after CD4, and king E2, king E7, knight H3. Okay, knight H3 is the move to play here. Okay. It's very complicated, guys. This may look very simple, but when you're playing Stockfish and attempting to draw at the highest maxed out level engine, it's very complicated. This took me a long time. This took me about 2 hours to figure out, to find knight H3 basically at the end of the day. So knight to F4, that was the whole point, getting to a better square. And after G5, kicking the knight away, well, just captures. Going back to H3 now, attacking G5 pawn. King defends with F6, king F3. Check to the white king, attacking the knight. And we're just going to do some dancing here. Kings are going to dance, knights are going to dance. Stockfish 8 is going to push the G pawn to G4, and now there's a standstill between the G4 pawn and the G3 pawn. Check again, getting out of the way. Well, there's not any way through here, and this F4 knight is cemented very well by the pawn on G3, and that's why knight H3 worked out so well. So this is a solution to a drawing line. Many more moves were played. Now it's my turn to start throwing checks and calling the shots in the endgame. Okay, knight E5, knight H5, king D7, and knight F6 check. Okay,
King C6 and knight to H5, B4, right? King D2, and this closes now the position, right? So Stockfish decided to do that to close it. Maybe knowing that now there is no chance for a conversion or a winning line, let's just say. Okay, so just many more moves were played here, guys, and amazingly enough, I claimed a threefold repetition in this game, and the engine permitted it. It said that it was not an incorrect threefold repetition claim, and after claiming the threefold repetition, it terminated as half and half. So these were many of the more moves that were played. Guys, there's nothing to do here in this position. The position is completely closed, and white is not allowing black to enter into, past the line of scrimmage, basically, past the byline. Okay, so there's no way through. Checks, going back. And it was after knight e5, knight c4, king b7, knight e5, king c7, knight c4. I don't know what knight f8's all about, but again, these are Stockfish's moves. And after knight to h6 and knight to e5, that's threefold, guys. That's probably three or fourfold. So thank you guys so much for watching. That was 90 moves, Stockfish level 8, highest level on Lee Chess, maxed out engine, how to draw. And yeah, so black is always forced to have to defend g4 now. And it turns out that pushing those pawns forward created more of a weakness for black, even though Stockfish didn't know what to do. Thank you guys so much at ISV, at home, and elsewhere. See you guys over the board. Take care of your chess online. And let's start playing more over the board chess on Saturdays, guys. Come visit us at ISV, Virgin Islands Chess Federation. Guys, your host Colin Heim signing off with much more to come in the future, guys. Take care, and bye-bye for now. Thank you, guys.